Millions of people set out every year from the country of their birth to start afresh. But of all workers, migrants are among the most vulnerable. And the global recession has played havoc with their hopes and dreams. 50 million jobs could be lost by the end of the year. So migrants have a stark choice between the life they've come to know, with all its hardships, and the life they left behind. Should they stay, or should they go? Anna and Mariusz Głód are the new generation of migrants. Like 500,000 of their countrymen, they took advantage of Poland's accession to the European Union in 2004, giving them freedom to work in the UK. 4 years later, almost 1.5 million Eastern European, or A8 migrants, had arrived.
Dzień dobry, witam. Długo was nie widziałam. Co się stało?
Worldwide, migrants will number 214 million by 2010, 3% of the world's inhabitants, up from 190 million 5 years ago. Polish people have become the UK's biggest foreign population. So increasingly retailers target that market. And reminders of home are just one of the attractions.
W Polsce jest bardzo ciężko. Trzeba dużo pracować.
In Poland, you have to work many hours to get good money. And here, just some hours before you have free time to do whatever you want.
A przede wszystkim pieniądze są lepsze tutaj w Anglii niż w Polsce.
We would like to start our life together, because in Poland I was living with my parents, and Mariusz, he was living with his parents, so yeah. And I thought maybe I can find a better job in England here than in Poland.
But in common with the majority of migrants around the world, 80% of Eastern European arrivals work in lower skilled jobs. Anna studied finance and administration in Poland, but in the UK she works in the office at a warehouse. Mariusz worked at a Honda supplier for 2 years, but the car maker's 4-month shutdown early in 2009 ended that. Now he too has a job in a warehouse. The recession has had a marked effect on migrants arriving in host countries. Worldwide, the downturn is dramatic. In the UK, at the peak 3 years ago, around 37,000 Poles, for example, were arriving every 3 months. It's now around 12,000, but the flow hasn't dried up.
The numbers coming in are larger than the numbers going out. So there is a net balance, a net inflow in favour of immigration. But that net flow is getting smaller, and that's true for the workers from the EU and from the workers from outside the EU.
Chris Kalako came from Goa in southwestern India a few months ago. He lost his job with a travel agency there when tourism slumped. He set off to join his extended family in the British town of Swindon, armed with a Portuguese EU passport from the old colonial rulers, and a vision of the future.
My hopes. Firstly, I would love to take a good job. Yeah, that's as you see, recession is there and people are losing job. The first priority is to have a very good job, stable job. Then I have a house, and then bring my wife and my kid, yeah, and give them a good life. It's very, very difficult. Every day in the morning I get up, go down to town, go down to the agencies, and when I go there, they say, at the moment we are very quiet, so it is very, very tough to get a job.
Unemployment tends to be somewhat higher among migrants than the native population. For now, Chris has a temporary job and spends time helping his uncle Angelo. Angelo De Mello is a qualified electrical engineer, handy for helping his brother-in-law renovate his house. He too has more skills than he's being paid for. By day, he's arranging mortgages in a brokerage, and the recession has slowed business right down. So occasional evenings playing music are a welcome distraction for both nephew and uncle.
Starting off with my job itself, okay, I take half as much income that what I would be taking 3 years ago. So things are very tight on that end. The next time, even my music has suffered over the last couple of years, where, you know, I used to play at least a minimum over the last sort of maybe 2 years. I would do at least maybe 3 gigs a month. That has gone down to sort of 1 gig a month. So, you know, there's no money coming in there. And from the rest of the family that I got, my family, my brother-in-law, he just bought a house to move into the house. He got the keys in the month of September, and all of us are helping to do the house up. And then he found out last weekend that he lost his job. So there's nothing secure anymore in this country.
When Angelo arrived in Swindon in the southwest, it was called Britain's most productive town. It's home to Honda and a host of other big employers. And when the economy boomed, it attracted thousands of migrants who now form 10% of the population. Goans form Swindon's biggest migrant community. There are 8,000, more than the other migrant groups from the subcontinent, and the largest enclave outside Goa itself. Some arrived with their families and Portuguese citizenship in the last decade. Others came via East Africa with British passports. Konkani is their first language, but their second is English, which has helped Goans integrate into British society.
In Goa, the medium of instruction in schools is largely English, and particularly in the Catholic schools. When they come here, they feel able to settle in. They've got the same likes and dislikes they perhaps as many other people around. They like to have the odd tipple after work in the pub, and can go to any restaurant and eat any food.
13. 35.
The Polish community has been rooted in Swindon for over 60 years.
Numer 6.
Some of the regulars at the Polish Day Centre served in the British Armed Forces in World War II and stayed on afterwards.
Numer 6.
Others were transported from eastern Poland to Siberia and came to the UK as political refugees.
42.
They feel their history separates them from the newer arrivals.
Maybe after a few years they will think differently, but at the moment, sorry to say, but we haven't got a lot in common, you know, because they think differently than we do. We belong here and we feel Polish, you know, but I think we belong here to this country.
The younger Poles have more choice about where they go. Take Zbyszek Lukasiak back in Warsaw. He's often prompted by economic motives and expectations about lifestyle. But in a recession, what will his next step be?